important in the history of America, nay, the world. And finally, San Francisco bans Happy Meals for kids, and California bans Happy Times for adults. We'll take a hard-hitting look at one state's war on happiness. Greg?
Thank you, Andy.
Ungracious wretch, fit for the mountains and the barbarous caves where manners ne'er were preached. Out of my sight, Greg.
Oh, I will kill thee 150 ways. Therefore, tremble and depart, Andy.
I apologize for nothing.
My nights are spent dreaming of your pain and suffering. Let's welcome our guests. Ooh, I love that sound. I'm here tonight with Angela McGlowan, Fox News political analyst and CEO of Political Strategies and Insights. She's so hot, her masseuse must wear oven mitts. It's clumsy, but it works. It's our favorite left-wing pinko socialist monster, writer John Devore. If hilarity were a pine tree, he'd be oozing sap and dropping needles everywhere. My repulsive sidekick, Bill Schulz. Like many Democrats, he also gave up his seat last night. And sitting right next to me, John Gibson, host of the syndicated radio program named after him, The John Gibson Show, appropriate, on Fox News Radio weekdays at noon Eastern. He knows quick retorts like I know satin shorts. They're awesome for my midnight jogs. Well, he's dry heaving because the Dems are leaving. It's our New York Times correspondent. Good to see you again, Pinch.
I have gouged out my eyes so as not to see the returns, Greg.
Oh, my God.
That and I slept with my mom.
Oh, no.
It's an Oedipus reference.
Oh, very good.
It is very good.
Oh, that's grotesque.
You're grotesque.
All right, shut up.
All right.
All right. It was a wave, a tidal wave, a tsunami, an avalanche, a leather-clad warrior king with glistening muscles coming to sweep me off my feet. Sorry, I got carried away. Of course, I speak of Tuesday's election results, which saw the Republicans taking control of the House of Representatives and gaining numbers in the seat. The results are being called historic by people who like to call things historic. Annoying. And among the big GOP winners were Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Pat Toomey, Dan Coates, Nikki Haley, and Colonel Alan West. And in possibly the sanest news of the night, Republican Daniel Webster beat crazy person Alan Grayson in a Florida congressional race. Of course, it wasn't all sunshine for the GOP. Linda McMahon, Sharon Angle, and Carly Fiorina all lost their Senate races. And in California's governor's race, Jerry Brown defeated Meg Whitman, thereby avoiding a real job once again. But overall, it was fun to be a Republican, but not so much for the prez, which means it's time for another episode of Hello, Barry. On tonight's very special episode, Barry tries to turn his enemies into his frenemies. Roll tape, someone.
Last night, I had a chance to speak to the leaders of the House and the Senate and reached out to those who had both won and lost in both parties. I told John Boehner and Mitch McConnell that I look forward to working with them. And I thanked Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid for their extraordinary leadership over the last 2 years. As I've said before, no person, no party has a monopoly on wisdom. And that's why I'm eager to hear good ideas wherever they come from, whoever proposes them. And that's why I believe it's important to have an honest and civil debate about the choices that we face. That's why I want to engage both Democrats and Republicans in serious conversations about where we're going as a nation. With so much at stake, what the American people don't want from us, especially here in Washington, is to spend the next 2 years refighting the political battles of the last two. We just had a tough election. We will have another in 2012.
You really killed. Hey, Gibby, glad to have you here. What was the biggest surprise of last night? Were there any big surprises?
I guess the biggest surprise that it wasn't 100, but
Yeah.
you know, 60 was a fairly good tidal wave. And, and look, you know, the guys who hate the Tea Party and hate the Republicans want to focus on Christine O'Donnell or Sharon Angle, but they should be worrying about Marco Rubio, who's a Tea Party candidate, Hispanic, coming out of Florida, and it looks like he's going to be a star, and they better shake in their boots, Greg.
I got to tell you, John, it falls into my theory, great hair, great future. If you look at the people that lost, Sharon Angle, bad hair. Marco Rubio, amazing hair. You can't get better hair than that. And I'm even talking to John Gibson, who, by the way, best hair in Fox News, I might say. And it's all real. I've run my fingers through that oftentimes. Next day, not remembering much of anything. Devore, as a lefty,
Go Democrats.
long sleeves tonight to cover the self-mutilation.
Yes, absolutely. 2012. I tell you, last night taught me one thing, and that is Democrats need to learn that you never bring a wiffle ball bat to a knife fight. The Republicans in 2008, after 2008, were a shattered party. They were a weak party.
There was no party.
Last night was a comeback.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what? Congratulations, they fought a good fight, and you know, but it was a comeback.
Were declared dead too early.
Absolutely, and you know what? Democrats underestimated them the way they underestimated, say, Bush in 2004.
Yeah.
And so, you know, good show.
You know what? It's interesting. You said maybe they underestimated the Republicans. I don't think that's the case. I don't think there were any Republicans.
Don't you remember right after Obama was elected, Time magazine said, it's dead, it's done,
but
no more Republicans.
But I think they were right. It was the civilians that came up.
It was the Tea Party.
It was that kicked them in the pants.
The grassroots, because they were totally anti-incumbent. And if you look at the disapproval rating of Congress, is 73%, and those are Rhino Republicans, Andy, and also Democrats.
They didn't run as a Perot party splitting the ticket.
Yeah.
They ran as Republicans. So yeah, of course it's a Tea Party, and that's where all the energy's coming from.
But independents
but
also
the
supported
Republicans ought to thank God they didn't decide to do a Perot number.
You know what the Tea Party is? It's the headless horseman with a great body. That's what it is. There's no leader there, but they're just going through and they're just getting business done.
You like chaos, huh?
I do like chaos. Bill, are you going to...
They like tax cuts and head cuts.
Exactly.
They want actual beheadings, Greg.
Exactly.
That should be their new thing. Forget Joe Tread on
They're
me.
underrated, Bill. Are you going to be moving to that tiny island of Hawaii to get away from America?
I'll be going there to find a birth certificate, and my odds are I won't find it, Greg.
No.
That's what this election has proven to me.
Yes.
Obama was right in that no party has a monopoly on wisdom. There is one party, however, who has a monopoly on knickers and tricorn hats. And I am looking forward to Congress looking less like Congress and more like a cookout at a Revolutionary War reenactment camp. This is going to change everything. Truly, we are going forwards by looking 1760s backwards.
He's onto something, but it was a half revolution because Republicans didn't take the Senate. Now, if we took the Senate, it would be a true revolution. But now, these members are going to have to go there, and they're going to have to compromise.
Are you saying that that is Christine O'Donnell's fault that they did not get the Senate? Because you're absolutely right.
We're going to get to that in about 5 minutes. I think that this is the best thing for Obama because he had nobody but the American people to blame. Now he's got the Republicans. He actually has. But Boehner, he needs a Boehner the same way Clinton needed a Gingrich, the same reason Reagan needed a Tip O'Neill, right?
Well, people are going to see the Republicans will pass things in the House. They will go to the Senate. They may probably get blocked by the Democrats. If they don't get blocked, they're going to go to the president, and he's going to veto it, and people will know who did what.
John,
so
I have to disagree. Obama's a smooth operator. Now, he ate humble pie today, but he's going to take a page out of Clinton's playbook, and he's going to move more to the center because he wants to win in 2012. So I believe that he's going to.
That's a long odds bet.
I think he's going to do it, and he's a smooth operator.
What issue he moves to the center on? I mean,
tax policy. He's already moving to the center on that. I think that they're going to go back to the true contract with America. You're going to see welfare reform. I think you're going to see something happen with the death tax. They're going to go back to that old deal where Obama is going to bring out the Clinton book and be a street fighter like the Republicans.
But I understand. John says he's not a triangulator, which is the problem. We got to move on, okay? Because this is so exciting. To the Gregologue, it's a cheese log of logic in a Hickory Farms of failure. Hickory Farms has the most free samples of any place on the planet. I want to put that out there. All right. So, late last night, I stumbled onto a Joe Scarborough column calling for a, quote, higher level of debate. Then he built a condo in Jon Stewart's butt, saluting the comic's attempt to challenge extremists of all stripes. He swoons. I'm just naive enough to believe that Stewart's rally might make a difference. Unswoon. Overlooking the fact that the event was a preemptive strike meant to undermine a conservative comeback. After all, the rally wouldn't have happened if the shellacking was on the other foot. But hey, Joe just got another Daily Show invite. Anyway, last night I tweeted that in 14 hours, Obama will call for an end to partisanship. And on cue, in defeat, he called for an end to partisanship.
I do believe there is hope for civility. I do believe there's hope for progress. And that's because I believe in the resiliency of a nation that's bounced back from much worse than what we're going through right now. A nation that's overcome war and depression, that has been made more perfect in our struggle for individual rights and individual freedoms. Each time progress has come slowly and even painfully, but progress has always come. because we've worked at it, and because we believed in it, and most of all because we remembered that our first allegiance as citizens is not to party or region or faction, but to country.
Sounds good to me. But Obama needs to see the difference between incivility and anxiety. The incivility really began when people, not Republicans, questioned him. And it wasn't the Tea Party calling the media idiots, it was the reverse. You know, when those old folks showed up at town halls speaking truth to Obama. Look, people get mad when they sense something underhanded. We distrust people and policies that rise to the top without earning it. It started with the health care bill, something no one read but our government passed. And when its critics became the actual targets of bile, well, that was incivility. Here were the Democrat talking points. If you're against the health care bill, you want children to die. If you're against cap and trade, you want the earth to die. If you disagree with Obama, you must be racist. So yeah, civility is great and working together is peachy, but as a baby-hating, earth-killing bigot, aren't I kind of hopeless? And if you disagree with me, you're a racist, homophobic baby-phobe. Yeah. Bill, I hate you and everything you stand for, yet we get along.
Yes, to a certain extent. And as a baby-killing socialist, I have to say that this entire Gregalogue was spoken like a man who never saw an ounce of the rally. What Jon Stewart was saying was we need a return to reasonableness. He actually defended the Tea Partiers and said we shouldn't be calling them racist. And Scarborough, who is, as last I checked, a Republican, was reiterating that. And what Scarborough is he's a reasonable Republican, and we need more of them. And that's what Jon Stewart was saying.
But they're calling for reasonableness because Obama was in trouble. They wouldn't call for reasonableness if Obama was doing well. That's my point.
I mean, look, when Bush had a little problem. He was chimpy, he was Nazi, he was killing the world. Then all of a sudden that was ruled out of order.
Yeah.
Mr. Obama is president.
Yes.
And now they sense, well, since we don't have the strength anymore, maybe we're going to get a little bit of this back at us. So why don't we all play nice?
That's what I'm getting. I'm like, I understand playing nice. I want to play nice, but they never played nice with me. I'm always around liberals. Every time they hear I'm a conservative, they don't play nice.
But see, they have to now. And the thing is, all that old politics dealing with the race baiting and calling people racist and saying that Tea Partiers are crazy is not working anymore. And for Obama, self-preservation is the first law of nature, Greg. And this guy is going to put himself first.
He doesn't abandon things that don't work. Today he was out talking about electric cars. Nobody wants to hear about electric cars.
I love electric cars.
He still has to keep his liberal base there.
Hey, John, you are a civil liberal, or a civiral, as I like to call it.
Thank you.
How do you keep from turning into a rabid ideologue?
You know, I'll tell you, last night made me kind of introspective, Greg. And I recalled how emotionally I cast my vote in 2008. And I kind of thought, you know, maybe it's not smart to vote based on being hope.
Yeah.
And last night, and I look at the emotion of the Tea Party, and I suddenly saw a little bit of myself in 2008. There was some sincerity in that rage, but maybe all of this emotion.
It's a good point. You're making. Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right on that. I think any time that you see that when people forward you emails in capital letters, whether it's from the left or the right, it's from the same part of the brain. I want to show you this clip. You know, we're talking about civility, and it's like hours after Marco Rubio wins, and Alicia Menendez is on MSNBC, and this is her example of civility.
As a young Cuban American, Marco Rubio, to me, perpetuates all of the bad stereotypes about Cuban Americans. I listen to his story, his family story of exile, of immigration. It resonates with me in a way that's hard to explain, as it does with Cuban Americans across Florida.
And can I tell you, a lot of non-Cuban Americans who have found that so emotional, his story.
But because my family comes from that experience, I want all other immigrants to have the same type of access and opportunity that my family had. So I am disgusted by anyone who would climb up the ladder and then kick it down for those behind them. And if he's really going to be the real deal, if he's going to be their great Latino hope, then he's going to need to start advocating for policies that actually help the Latino community. And by the way,